So the question is real estate the best passive income? Let's talk about that. First of all, disclaimer, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant. This is not financial advice. Period, end of story. Let's talk about what is passive income. Okay, so a passive income is where you're, according to the IRS, is what you don't have to work at a regular basis for the income to come in. There's earned income, there's dividend income, there's passive income. So in other words, let's take real estate because that's what we're going to be talking about is, do I have to show up every single day in order for that income to come in? No. Okay, so I don't know. There's other passive income, there's REITs, there's other things like that, limited partnerships. Okay, there's some argument there. What I love about real estate as far as passive income is you're also participating solely in the increased value of the property. At least that's the hope, right? So at the same time, while you're being able to depreciate the value as if it's going down according to the IRS, here's the whole thing with all the rules and the income, passive income, earned income. If you don't understand the rules, well, learn them, and that's what you're doing right now. So understanding why passive income is such a desired situation is pretty basic. So let's look at this. Passive income is taxed completely different than earned income. Depending on your income, again, not a CPA, it could be 0 to 20%. And you also hanging on to the property. The value of the property is going up, so you've got that going for you. While at the same time, because you own the piece of property, let's say it's a single family residential property and I'm renting it out, I can depreciate that over 27 and a half years. Good example of that is, give me some roundabout numbers off the top of my head. If I've got a $250,000 property, I depreciate that over 27 and a half years, and that's approximately, don't hold my feet to the fire, about $10,000 a year in depreciation, which means it goes against my taxes. Kind of nice. Remember though, you're gonna have to take that on the backside when you sell the property. So there's those things there. So again, is real estate the best passive income? I'm biased. I mean, that's like asking a 49er fan if the 49ers are the best football team. I'm biased. Our Dallas Cowboy fan, if they're still America's team. I mean, I'm a real estate investor. Passive income makes so much sense to me. More independently financial millionaires have been made in real estate than anything on planet Earth. Okay, so United States has such great rules when it comes to investing in real estate. That's why people like you and I can come from here, that's where I came from, up to here with just real estate. So, that's where you're at. I mean, you got to get some passive income out there, and it's for me. I want real estate. So if I'm the beginning investor and I'm just trying to tap into this area, what kind of properties am I looking at with that? Well, first of all, you want to create your own equity. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. If you're a first-time home buyer, you could go buy a single family home, fix it up, rent it out. That's great. I think the number one way right now in the United States is a new program with FHA. And what it is buying duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Can't be anything bigger than that. So what it is a new FHA program that if you buy a duplex or a triplex, as long as you live in one of the units for 1 year, owner occupied, you can buy that with as little as 3.5% down. Yeah. Okay, so think about this. If you're buying a $500,000 piece of property, you got just a little over $15,000 as a down payment. Now, the objective to make sure this thing cash flows is to buy yourself a piece of property that needs a little bit of elbow grease, some hammers, some Home Depot visits. So you go into that piece of property, you move into the first unit, you fix that property up, okay? Everything that you spend on that becomes a tax deductible item. Once that first unit is fixed up, you get a renter in there, you charge them more than the other ones, et cetera, till all the units are completed. Now you bring the value up and you've got passive income coming in every single month. You keep duplicating that and you're gonna be off to the races. Now, that's a one-time deal. After that, I'm still gonna do the same thing with single family residential properties. I'm gonna drive around the neighborhoods that maybe I wouldn't be living in, but I'm going, okay, here's some properties in here. This area is doing well, but there's a property over there that it needs a lot of work. Maybe it's even abandoned. Maybe the owner has deceased. That's happening a lot with the baby boomer situation. There's a lot of properties. I do believe the number is somewhere around 34 million properties a month where the owners died and the kids have to take care of it. And not always, but there's sometimes a mess with that where you can come in there and solve a problem. I'll buy this property off you for X number of dollars and go from there. And literally, when I say that, you're solving a problem. I've got into situations where they're like, just take it off my hands. I'm like, well, what does that mean? How about if I do this? You write a contract to me, I'll pay you X number of dollars on this in 6 months. And with a nice little $5,000 security deposit on it. So it gives me control of the real estate. I can go to a private investor. They'll give me 60 to 70% loan to value of the after repair value, what we call ARV. Okay, so I go up there and get all this money. I fix the property up. I cash out my person in 6 months for their money on there, and I'm kind of off to the races. Why do I do that? Because you're building equity immediately and creating the passive income that we're talking about. That's why I think real estate is your best bet when it comes to this. Okay, so that's one of the best ways, I think. Those are two of the best ways to make that happen. Another third way to get some passive income is on land. So if you can find land, because that's a great entry port for somebody that doesn't have a lot of capital also. So, but you also just can't buy land any willy-nilly place. There's got to be some way that property can be rented out to maybe camping, maybe to a rancher, maybe somebody wants to use it for storage. I've seen people buy these lots, even in towns where nobody's using it. They put a very inexpensive chain link fence around it with some kind of a code system, and people can store their RVs there. That is a cash cow. That would be passive income exactly right there. So those are some things that you can do on that. One of my favorite ways, as you guys all know, I'm considered the godfather of tax lien certificates. I've taught more people face-to-face and in video to do tax liens than anybody on planet Earth. And so there's that. So what are tax lien certificates or tax deeds? Let's talk about that with passive income. Okay, if I'm buying a tax deed, that means the property owner has failed to pay their property taxes for a minimum of 4 years. And so there are certain counties out there that say, two squirrels out there fighting. There are certain counties out there that will say, you know what, enough's enough. Okay, we need our property taxes. What does the county need this money for? I mean, without the money, the county can't do anything. Okay, you've got number one is school, probably 50, 60+% of property taxes go towards the schools. Then you got fire department, law enforcement, park and recs, all of these. We need this money. Somebody's got to pay this. So if this property owner hasn't paid for a minimum of 4, 5, or 6 years, they bring it to sale. Now, what the cool thing about tax deed sales is they've already notified everybody else that's got a financial interest in this property. That could include the other mortgage banks and what have you. Because it's a county lien, they take superiority over all other liens and encumbrances. It's written into every state law in the United States. So if I go to the sale and I put my hand up and they say sold, I own that property. All other liens and encumbrances are wiped up and I own it free and clear. It is a phenomenal way to get cash flow and start that passive income. Now, there is a lot more that I don't have time to talk about in here. How to find the right property, where the list's coming from, the correct research to do before you go to sale, how to prepare for the sale, all of those things, and you're in for a treat. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in a course that I'm putting out. It's free to you. All you got to do is click on the link down below, higginsmethod.com. Click on that link. Okay. Oh, and another little bonus on top of that. There's a America's Best Kept Secret brochure that I've just put out there, a booklet, and I'll send it out to you complimentary. So both of those things will help get you on the road to get some of that passive income that's so great for you and your family. This is Saen Higgins saying God bless and good luck, and we'll see you out there.